So guys, I would request if you have any questions or queries or doubt, you can.
Hi, this is Ankur Jain here. So
Hi, Ankur, hi.
so I have a question around Hiveo. So how does it differentiate with Amazon Workspaces? I guess they have a solution called Desktop as a Service.
Yeah.
So how does it differentiate with that Hiveo?
Anchor, so both the Amazon Workspaces and the Azure WVD are based upon an RDS desktop. So one of the key things that they offer, which whilst it's, hosted and managed for you, it is a shared desktop. The resources that you get are limited to something like, less than half the vCPU and memory per VM. And when you have an RDS desktop, as Umesh had on one of the slides, the difference between a pure VDI where each user has their own Windows 10 desktop compared to a RDS desktop, which is a Windows server, if you're familiar with RDS, where it is what we call a shared desktop. I think Citrix now call it a hosted shared. It used to be called RDS. So there is a huge difference between the flexibility, performance, and end user experience between RDS and VDI. And that is the main difference for the services that are being offered. Now, prices and costs, usability are also come into question.
Mm-hmm.
Does that answer your question, Anka?
Yes.
Thanks, Ankur.
This is Ashutosh. Just want to know, so what is the most recommended team size and kind of roles for which VDI is useful, in the sense that if I have just a small team, should I explore VDI or what's your view on that?
So the key thing with any virtualization platform is the complexity to set up. As Umesh presented earlier on his earlier slides, setting up any virtualization platform, even RDS or VDI, is pretty complex. So as a consequence, any virtualization solution was always very expensive when you start looking at a small deployments, because both RDS and VDI require what we call management servers. So if you do Citrix XenApp, which is an RDS desktop, or Horizon, you have to put in place a number of management VMs. The brokers, in Citrix terminology, they have a thing called a storefront server, desktop delivery controller, they have a license server, a database server. All of these servers need to be implemented before you can even deliver one desktop. And all of these servers require licensing. They also require often SQL database. So the cost for a small number of desktops is very expensive. The economies of scale start kicking in after 500 desktops, and then that management infrastructure then gets watered down across 500 upwards, and it becomes much more viable financially. With Hive Fabric, we don't have any management infrastructure. We don't have any concept of any dedicated management VMs. So we can start from as little as a single server for, we've got some hospitals who have asked us for Hive for 5 users. They have a small server, a really small server, and the cost is the same, whether it's 5, 10, 50, or 100. And because we are so simple to deploy and set up, I had a session with this customer in a hospital in Ireland earlier this week. In 1 hour, we had the platform built, and he was up and running in 1 hour. And that's the biggest difference, really, between, if you're going to consider this for small groups of users, we really feel we can make a big differentiation and make the virtual desktops very viable now for you. Okay? Does that answer your question?
Yes, that does.
Yeah.
So, Umesh, last I heard Citrix and VMware had both their products. I don't know if I'm comparing apples to oranges, but don't they have competing products with what Hive.io, and so would you claim yours is better or some way differentiate?
So Rishi, you're right. We all deliver exactly the same solution, VDI. And the difference is they've been around a long time, and the biggest difference is both VMware and Citrix have developed their products over many years, and they've done it by acquiring different companies, and they've literally had to bolt together all of these components. As a consequence, they are very complicated. They have lots of moving parts under the nose that are very heavy, very complex to deploy. But when they deliver a desktop, you're right, they are the same. Their licensing price, so we differentiate in many ways from VMware and Citrix. We differentiate because unlike both of them, we don't need any management infrastructure, which will make a massive difference for you on smaller deployments. We are a single solution which includes everything from server virtualization, desktop virtualization, and hyperconverged storage. If you look at VMware, that you will have a separate product for VMware ESX, the hypervisor. They have vCenter, which is their management. They have vSAN, which is their hyperconverged storage, and then Horizon, which is their desktop. That's 4 products with about 10 different management components and consoles. With us, we have 1. Everything's included, and we don't care what servers or technology is underneath. You'll know with VMware, Citrix, they want to know how many processors, how many sockets. The licensing price will change depending on the resources and computers underneath. With us, it is really simple. We don't care. You get charged per VM. Our simplicity, we don't need special training. The speed at which we can deploy, the ease of management will save you money compared to these. But you're right, we all offer the same thing at a virtual desktop. But it's the simplicity, the pricing, the infrastructure, the management, a whole bunch of reasons. We're basically doing the same thing. We're the new version of, as Umesh nicely put it, we are VDI 2.0, where the other guys are VDI 1.0.
Yeah, we should put that on the web as well. So Rishi, I would like to add one point here. So if you are already using, say, XenApp or a Citrix XenApp
Yep.
or a desktops, then an underlying layer can be high-VIO, and on top of that you can use XenApp and ZDev as well. So that is
Correct.
an additional
Yes.
advantage. Yeah. Traditionally, Citrix was actually leveraging vSphere and server virtualization and storage virtualization from VMware itself. Correct me if I'm wrong, Andy. So
Correct. Yeah.
now if you are using, you have been using, or your team has been using that, so the underlying layer can be high-VIO, and the complexity of managing the licenses, the cost of doing it is significantly, it's a significant value add, and once you allow us to have a short demo and all, we can showcase that possibility. Any more questions?
No, Umesh, not from my side. Thank you for answering the question.
Thanks, Rishi. I think, I guess, Andy, Jessica, if you have any inputs you can give, we can wrap this up here. I guess we had a short and sweet discussion.